Bourgogne, or Burgundy, is the last region that we visited in France. It is an area that is defined by vineyards and varieties of grapes and the wines that they produce, as you can see from this map. There's a lot more to Burgundy than just grapes. There are canals, there are beautiful chateaus and lovely bucolic scenery. But of course, it all comes back to wine. And we stayed in Bonn, a capital city, if you will, of wine in Burgundy. We were in the middle of the Côte de Bonn, or side or quarter of Bonn. Our rental flat was on busy Rue de Lorraine, and nearby was an 18th century arch and a 16th century lovely Catholic church that survived the Revolution because of the dogged defense of the parishioners. Leaving the busy street, you followed a corridor that led to a long, narrow courtyard that had a small house in it where we stayed. Behind the house, the courtyard was entirely private and great for either taking a nap or enjoying the local wine and cheese. Bonn is a beautiful medieval town with many notable sites. Perhaps the most impressive of those sites is the Hospice de Bonn, or Hospital of Bonn. It was built in the 15th century by a wealthy Burgundy resident to treat the poor. Today it is both a museum to early medicine and a sacred art museum, as faith was a big part of the message to the hospital's patients. As we explored the town walking, one day we decided to walk the town walls, or ramparts, that still surround its central core. We became fascinated by the homes built on the wider portions of the ramparts and wondered about what it would be like to have a private rampart garden. As we explored the central core, we visited the Collegiate Church of Notre Dame from the 9th century. I found this strange face below a windowsill directed toward the ground. Perhaps a lost soul? We ended the day by touring one of the largest wine cellars, or a cave. It had 6 kilometers of passages, and we sampled 10 local wines, 3 whites and 7 reds. We visited Bonn's famous Wednesday market. We brought fresh Gruyere cheese. Cynthia managed to escape the clutches of a tree, and late in the day we discovered a monument dedicated to the loss of life in World War I. Bonn was our base of operations for 7 days. We took several trips into the surrounding areas. One day we visited Autun. In Roman times, it was the strategic Roman city of Augusto Dunan, with 6 kilometers of city walls, 4 gates, and a theater. Today you can see part of those 30-foot high ramparts used to keep out the barbarians. 2 of the old gates survive, and the remains of the theater as well. Autun has the Museum Rollin, with diverse collections of artifacts. A 1st century Roman ceremonial helmet and other Roman treasures are visible. The Temptation of Eve from the 12th century, once in the Louvre, was also on display. Chateaus are interesting sites in Burgundy. They vary in form from castles, Chateauneuf, to palaces that can rival Versailles, such as Chateau d'Ancey-le-Franc. The latter was surrounded by exquisite gardens and contained many extravagant interior rooms. Burgundy is a very scenic region for travel. Here from a hill, we can see the bright ribbon in the distance that is the Burgundy Canal, a nearby lake, and some typical village scenes. Dijon is the capital of Burgundy and is well worth a visit. The city's symbol is the owl, and the tourist office offers the Owl Trail to visit many of the interesting sites in the town. While in Dijon, we visited the aptly named Museum of Beautiful Arts. It featured some Renaissance masterpiece paintings, as well as a really unusual work, 2 caskets of the Dukes of Burgundy. It's hard to describe them. Pictures hardly do them justice. As our trip was winding down, the churches and cathedrals were beginning to blur in our heads. Finally, we were at our last dinner in France, reflecting on all that we had experienced.